I hate long intros. Y'all read the title. So this article is called A New Damian Lillard 4-Team Trade Where Everybody Wins, and it is from Andy Bailey? Isn't Andy Bailey the jit from the guy from Modern Family? Y'all know the guy that you recognize him from The Thing, that you know that's from The Thing. I loved Andy. He's a cool dude. Modern Family, top 5 show of all time. Top 5 comedy, we'll say. I'd have to think about top 5 show. Anyways, everybody wins. Well, Andy Bailey, let's see if you know ball. And once again, Andy Bailey wrote this, not me, because I've gotten a lot of Portland fans hating in my comments on all these trade videos I've done because I usually make the trades. But today we're going to go ahead and look at someone else. So we're going to skip over just the general summation, and we're going to go right into what each team gets. And he says, Portland tips off a new era. So the Portland Trailblazers will be receiving James Harden's expiring, along with Kyle Lowry's, Jaime Jovic, and 2 first-round picks from Miami and a second-round pick from Chicago. Ooh, the Portland fans are not going to like this one, I can already tell you. And of course, they're sending out Dame, Nurkic, Keon Johnson, and a second. Now, losing Nurkic, I do believe, helps them. Some Portland fans disagree because he still is a solid player, but newsflash, y'all are in rebuild mode. He does not fit your new timeline, and he's a big man that gets big money and can't stay healthy. Losing him, I think, is a plus, and they likely would have to attach a first-round pick to offload his contract in another scenario. But Andy says Blazer fans might want more for Lillard, but Heat fans won't want to give up this much. Therefore, this feels like a happy medium. It's funny you say that. You're acknowledging Blazer fans might not be happy, but I guarantee you Heat fans are not going to like this either. Most Heat fans would not want to give up Jovic and Jaime. They say, pick one or the other, which I'm hoping is what ends up happening. But I certainly would give up both of those guys. I mean, listen, let me talk to the Heat fans real quick. Jovic played like 10 games last year. Jaime didn't play at all. He was a rookie. So if those are the 2 main pieces you're losing, along with Tyler Herro, who played 1 playoff game last year, if those are the pieces you're losing and you're getting Dame, you're a championship contender. You got to do that, if it's my opinion. But I understand not wanting to lose both the young guys because I'm a fan as well. He says, Portland would immediately get cap flexibility in 24, a 1-year mentor for Scoot Henderson and Lowry. I like how they say they don't get a mentor in James Harden. You don't want James Harden mentoring Scoot Henderson? I wonder why not. But regardless, I do think Lowry would be a good mentor. He's obviously been in this league a long time. He's seen a lot, and the cap flexibility is the biggest part. I would love to get rid of Duncan Robinson in a trade to Portland, but if Portland was getting rid of Nurkic, why would they want Duncan Robinson, who's on a worse contract and probably played less games last year, not due to injury, just because he kind of sucked. So he was getting those DMP coaches' decisions, which is unfortunate. I had someone tell me that Duncan Robinson is not a bad contract. Listen, he had a great finals run, or a great playoff run, but he was literally not playing in the regular season because he wasn't good enough. For a guy on a 5-year, $90 million deal, that's not really okay. Going on with the article, if the Blazers are out on acquiring Tyler Herro in a Lillard deal, they probably wouldn't want Harden taking developmental reps from Scoot. Makes sense. But the Blazers should be more open to the Los Angeles Clippers' potential offer for Harden than the 76ers are. So it sounds like they are planning on having Portland just flip James Harden down the line and get even more assets, which does make sense because Harden will be an expiring deal. Typically, those have more value, and it doesn't really sound like the Clippers want anything from Philly. So maybe Portland has some pieces they can work on a trade down the line and then get Portland some more assets, a little bit later in the year. They also note offloading Jusuf Nurkic's contract, and they obviously note that Lillard's trade, it says Lillard's value on the trade market is out of his hands. Yeah, it's not the best considering all the money he's making at the age, but that's been pretty well documented, so I don't necessarily want to get into that quite more. It does say Blazers might be a little annoyed that they're not getting the king's ransom that the Jazz got for Rudy Gobert, but as this article does note, that was an outlier. I hate everybody comparing everything to that Rudy Gobert trade because that is unrealistic. I mean, it happened, so obviously it's realistic, but that was stupid. That's not something that I think you're going to see repeated because it is an outlier, so I'm glad that this article does note that. Moving on to the Miami Heat side of things, it says Miami goes all in on this era. So, of course, the Heat get Dame. They do take Nurkic's contract. They get 2 second-round picks in this trade. And it says the Heat lose Tyler Herro, Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin, Jaime Jovic, and 2 firsts. Okay, Andy, you're over 2 at this point because as a Heat fan, I don't like this trade either. I said I was willing to lose Jaime and Jovic, both of them. I can't part ways with Caleb Martin. There is something to the fact that, yeah, Caleb was just a two-way guy 2 years ago, and now, I don't want to get rid of him when you can get a greatest player of all time like Dame. But Caleb Martin, to me, has proven himself to be a guy that you can win now with. The kind of playoff run that he had, it's not a small sample size. It was virtually every single series, I guess, except the finals. But everybody kind of sucked in the finals outside of Bam. But he's proven himself to be a big-time player in big-time games, and he's on an amazing, amazing contract. One of the best in the league, only getting paid $7 million next year. And I get he's got a player option after that. So next year with Miami would probably be his last year because he would opt out of his contract and re-sign for bigger money elsewhere, most likely. But when you get Dame, you got a two-ish year window, and I want Caleb Martin here for the first year. I think he's that good, and I think they need a guy like that, especially since you're bringing in Dame, who's not the best defender, but Caleb Martin is a phenomenal on-ball defender. You lost Gabe Vincent, you lost Oladipo. Those were two guys who did that well. I don't think that he can avoid to lose Caleb Martin. Also, the article says Heat fans are largely convinced that their best offer for Lillard is better than anyone's given credit for. Very true, especially if this is the package. And it only has Miami sending out 2 first-round picks. I would much rather send a third first-round pick and keep Caleb Martin, even a 4th first-round pick if you were able to unlock protections with OKC, get that extra pick, send Tyler Herro for a pick or multiple picks. I'd rather just send all the picks and keep Caleb Martin is kind of what I'm trying to say. This says the Lillard trade unquestionably makes the Heat better. That's obviously very, very true. And he says, if Lillard does eventually land in Miami, the Heat should immediately be considered a tier 1 contender. I agree. Thank you for not being Paul Pierce. They just made the NBA Finals with an undrafted 6'3" below average shooter. Listen, do not slander Gabe Vincent's name, okay? Who cares if he was undrafted? Gabe Vincent is a hooper, okay? I'm tired of all this slanderous undrafted talk. The dude's a hooper, had an amazing playoff run, and he is a loss for the Heat now. If you get Dame, it makes it all worth it, as my whole article went white. Okay, we fixed the article glitch. The last paragraph in this Heat section says, Miami might be the one team that's close enough to a title and possesses the right assets to make this happen. Again, another reason I'm so confident Lillard will end up in Miami, because if you look at all the factors of a team that makes sense for Damian Lillard, you need a team that can contend, a team that is willing to spend the money, a team that he would want to be in, a team that has experience, a team that has veterans. Miami fits all of that, you know, and I think they'd be willing to give up what it takes, and a lot of teams might not be able to do that. Truthfully, it sounded like no other team is able to do that. So while I don't like the trade he has here for Miami, he does bring up some good points. Moving on to the Philadelphia 76ers perspective, he says they get more explosive by adding Zach Lavine and Tyler Herro and a 2029 second-round pick. They'll be losing James Harden's fat ass, Tobias Harris, and a first-round pick swap. No, it looks like 1 swap and 1 first-round pick along with a second. This is not a bad trade for Philly at all, because they're losing a guy who I think sucks in James Harden, and I think all Philly fans are tired of him, and they're getting a guy in Zach Lavine who's way better. They're getting Tyler Herro, who I might argue is better than James Harden too, and all they're giving up is a first-round pick, you know, in addition to James Harden, and I guess Tobias Harris, who gets paid a lot of money. We all know about Tobias Harris over me. This is a phenomenal trade for Philadelphia, so much so that I think it's unrealistic. I guess this says Daryl Morey's, based on his mandate, the Sixers feel like they can win it all after any Harden trade. This one could make them more explosive. Morey probably won't want to lose picks in a Harden deal, but if you just look at the net talent, there's no reason Philly wouldn't do this. This just isn't realistic at all. I know Morey basically said he would only trade James Harden if they get a player back in return that can keep them as contenders. They get 2 players in return who are better than Harden. That's a good trade for Philly. Chicago Bulls, they finally start their rebuild. He says the Bulls receive Tobias Harris expiring. They get Caleb Martin, and then they basically get a first-round pick from the 76ers in addition to a swap, and they'll be losing Zach Lavine and 2 second-round picks. So your idea of a rebuild for the Bulls is trading the youngest of their big 3 keeping DeMar DeRozan's old ass, keeping Vucevic, who hasn't been great for them, and that's your idea of a rebuild. Listen, my biggest problem with the Chicago Bulls has been this half-ass rebuild they've been doing, because then they kind of get rid of some guys, but then they brought in DeMar DeRozan, and then they re-signed Vucevic, but now they're looking to trade Zach Lavine. They need to pick a direction. I don't think they have a very, very clear direction as it now stands, and I think that's why they're currently in the worst place in sports to be, which is mediocrity. You're not bad enough to get a great pick, and you're not good enough to contend. This article says the deal doesn't make the Bulls better in the short term, so they'd probably have to move DeMar or Vucevic in separate deals too. Okay, so it does at least note that, but if I'm the Bulls, one, I think Zach Lavine is still young enough you could build around, and two, I would not trade Zach first without trading those other guys. Because if you can't trade those other guys, you're kind of screwed until their contract just runs out and they just resign. As my article, again, is going blank. Well, Vucevic just resigned at least. Let me go ahead and scroll back down here. Gotta be honest, none of these trades really make any sense to me. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and go to the summary here so y'all can get a full look at this, and make sure to let me know down in the comments below what y'all think. And remember, Andy Bailey, not me making this trade. Now, I don't want to give Andy Bailey a ton of crap because it's very hard to make trade packages. You have no idea what GMs are thinking. Everybody values all the different players differently, so it is hard to do, but let me know what y'all think down below. I do want to ask y'all that to leave your trade ideas down below. It doesn't have to be Dame to Miami Heat. It could be Dame to any other team. I want to hear from the Heat fans. I want to hear from the Portland fans. I want to hear from all NBA fans, because I would like to make a video, ranking y'all trade packages, thinking which ones are the best, which ones are most realistic. So leave all your Damian Lillard trade packages below, and again, to any team. But as far as this article, a new Damian Lillard 14 trade where everybody wins, nah, this ain't it. But I'm gonna need to go into Inspect Element real quick and edit this for you, Mr. Andy Bailey, because the title of your article is not accurate. So we're gonna use our friend Inspect Element. Fun tool. Used to use a lot in school. Just go leave it at that. And change it to something more accurate. A new Damian Lillard 4-team trade where nobody except Philadelphia 76ers wins. That's not proper grammar, but y'all get the point. Anyways, like the video, subscribe if you enjoyed, leave y'all comments down below. I'll be reading all of them in this video, and I'll see y'all next time.
Looking kind of lean. Senior got the no work, no check tap, but when you didn't play the playoffs, your check still cash. And to all these fans saying that you got a deep bag, if that's true, your short arms couldn't reach in that. I think my watch is broke, and it really is a shame, cause for the last couple weeks, it been stuck on Dame.